G'day, welcome back to another episode of the Cubane series, a series where we're trying to make 1,4-dicarboxyl cubane from materials from the hardware store. As you may be aware, we initially made very good progress in this series and have been caught for the last couple of weeks on this UV step. And I suppose when I say last couple of weeks, I mean the last 100 or so weeks. We initially started doing this reaction using the UVB lamps, then we moved to UVB LEDs, and now we're back to 395 nanometer LEDs using a photosynthesizer in the reaction, and this time I have a really good feeling about it. It's different than all the other times I had a really good feeling about it, because this is the time. This has to be the time. We've got the purified diketone, we got some benzophenone from eBay, and we have two 50-watt, 395 nanometer LED panels to blast UV into this reaction. And we're pretty much following a literature procedure. I mean, virtually exactly, nearly at this point. Virtually exactly nearly. Sort of. I mean, it's the closest I've ever really getting to following an actual literature procedure in the garage here. And I'm super keen to get to actually doing the chemistry, but very first I want to talk about actually what happens after the UV step, because it's surprising how close we actually are to Cubane. I think we've forgotten this a little bit because we've been stuck at this step for so long, but we're weirdly close to Cubane. So in the UV step, we start with our nice diketone, and then we make this sort of cage compound. We've been calling it the cage compound. It's got two squares and then a couple of pentagons and still has the two bromide groups on it. What we're ideally going to do is take this molecule straight out of the reaction mix. We're not going to purify it or anything, and react it with sodium hydroxide, and that's going to make the Cubane. The sodium hydroxide removes those last two bromines from the molecule, and then it sort of contracts. Well, I mean, guess those pentagons turns into squares, right? And our Cubane is just swimming around in solution because it's got two acid groups on it, so we want to precipitate it out, so we're just going to be adding in some hydrochloric acid, which will precipitate it out, which is really great because we're just using sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. They're just from the pool chemical aisle at the local hardware store. Well, the hydrochloric is, I think the sodium hydroxide is also from the hardware store. I can't remember what they even sell it for, as just a general cleaner. That's how close we are. We need to do a little bit of a reflux with the sodium hydroxide to make sure that reaction actually happens, the rearrangement reaction happens, the Favorskii. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I think everyone excuses that by now. You can just blame it on my Australian accent and that's fine. Yeah, me and my mates are going to fucking head back and do a Favorskii rearrangement. Brewski is a word. Do people use brewski anymore? Like, oh, I'm going to go smash a couple of brewskis, you know? A couple of brewskis, 4 brewskis, Favorskii. The 4 brewski reaction, because you need to have fucking 4 brews before you can. So that's basically it. We're not going to bother with any TLC reactions. We're just going to run the stuff under the UV for several days. Forget about TLC for now. It's just too painful to think about all the hours I've lost trying to do TLC when it probably doesn't even matter in the end of it. So that's what we're doing. Let's get right into it. All right, here we are. It's another ruthlessly sunny day. We had our couple of days of scheduled rain as per the middle of winter, but we're back now. It'll be nothing but sun for the next 8 months or so. And, oh, this door, grass is growing. I gotta fix this door. Goddamn power tools. Oh, chemistry is the easy part. I can't even fucking get in to do the chemistry. Man. Right, alright. Anyway, we're here. Remember this box with the lamps? It's gathered some dust. Oh, man. The passing of time. Every video in this series is constantly reminded of the passing of time. Where do we go? God. To go. Alright, what is all this shit? Sure. What is this? A brick wrapped in foil? I really am the genius of our times, aren't I? God, there's more bricks wrapped in foil. God damn. I mean, I kind of like the lamps because everyone hates them, but we are replacing them with panels of LEDs. This is the future, baby. We're getting an upgrade. This is enough ramble. Let's do it. Let's pull this bloody lamp out. Okay, I've literally just taped this thing in, and most of the LED panel comes through that hole. Okay, I didn't even align it properly, but turning it on. Hell yeah. Great promise. Okay, I will align that better and put the other one in. Oh, we got a manual. Make sure that the distance between the floodlight and the object being lit is more than 1 meter, so as to avoid high temperatures caused by short distance. It's normal for the surface temperature of the lamp body to be too high after a long period of work. Please do not touch it directly to avoid burns. Well, we're going to ignore all that. Ta-da! Another immaculate build. Hell yeah, you can see why I'm regarded as certainly one of the makers of our generation. There's a fan, there's a stirring thing, there's 2 LED panels. Let's put them on. God damn, that's some UV. It's just bloody dichloromethane in that flask. That's the solvent we got to use. Remember, if it gets over 40 degrees in that flask, the solvent will boil and the thing will explode, so we can't let that happen. I mean, it might explode, but it might pop the lid and everything will go everywhere and the solvent will melt all the panels and it might explode. Okay, it might explode. I haven't dissolved any product in there to begin with. We're just going to give it, I don't know, an hour, just see if things get way too hot. It's $3.95, so it's not too bad to my skin or eyes, but not that I will be looking at it for an extended period of time, because it doesn't seem very pleasant to look at. It looks a lot more blue on the camera than it is in person. It's kind of purpley, but it doesn't look as bright as it does on camera, but it's because a lot of it's kind of on the edge of your vision at $3.95. I mean, you should be able to see most of the $3.95, but it's kind of on the limit of your human vision. So anyway, all right, and after about half an hour, things are hot, but they're not scalding hot. I'm burning myself. Yeah, the dichloromethane doesn't feel, I mean, it's warm. We just have such a narrow window we got to hit. Like, 40 degrees is not that warm. I don't know. It's potentially we could run it in the fridge. We're on the fridge. Could run it in the fridge. That's really stupid, isn't it? We'll try and do it without the fridge. What I think is a reasonable approach, much more reasonable than the fridge, although the fridge is a fun option. Much more reasonable approach is just to use this timer here and turn the stuff off and then on again, I think. I'm not sure about the lid. Maybe the lid doesn't need to be on either, because that's really trapping the heat in. Because we're going to run it for 3 days. Have I mentioned that yet? It's not like 2 hours. We really want to run it for like 3 days straight. If I have to break it up, every half an hour, there's 5 minutes of cool down time. I don't think it adds up too much. It at least lets us run it without everything blowing up or melting or catching on fire or exploding, etc. So I think that would be worth the while. So I've got to fucking program that in with these little stupid buttons, but I can do that. Okay, I guess if we're talking obvious solutions, more fans is the obvious solution. It's everyone's least favourite fan. It's fine. The fan wants to be rusty. I could buy a new fan, but I'm not going to. It works. It's fine. It's fine. It's probably an electrical hazard. It's fine. Look, this stays cool. That thing cools down. We'll still give it a bit of a duty cycle, I suppose, a couple minutes off. It's fine. It's fine. I reckon we're nearly good to bloody dissolve some stuff up and just fucking send it for 3 days. Right? You feeling confident? We're just assuming it'll work. It's fine. That's not optimism. It's just denial, I think. So, all right. Let's do it. Let's set this bloody thing up. Alright, moment of truth. It has been 3 days. 3 days? Yeah, it was Wednesday to Thursday, Friday to Saturday. Yeah, but Saturday today. Another aggressively sunny day, which I suppose will prompt people to suggest that maybe we just use UV from the sun rather than worrying about these lamps. And that's a very good suggestion. I mean, it is the middle of winter. It was raining. The grass is wet. So we've got to contend with that. And then very soon it'll be summer and it'll be 40 degrees, which will be too hot. But maybe there's a appropriate time in there somewhere. Anyway, we'll try that eventually, I suppose. All right, moment of truth. What are we expecting to see? We're expecting to see it all tarred up. It was a clear solution before, and we should see some changes now. So we're expecting maybe tarry solution. Oh, I don't know. All right, let's get these lamps off. Ooh. not really tar, but pretty damn yellow. I don't know if that's a good thing. As per usual, everything always bloody goes yellow. Even when we want tar, it goes yellow. My God. Yeah, look, this doesn't look so great. While I said we wanted tar, the product we want does dissolve in dichloromethane. So the fact that this sort of deposit has arisen, you know, that's not our product. But maybe it's in the yellow still. So we'll just filter off, well, not really filter off, we'll just decant off our yellow solution away from the tar on the side of the flask here. It's on the stir bar too. So we'll carefully pour that off. I'm going to remove the solvent from our very yellow solution. It's a little wasteful. I'm not like redistilling it, but it's 30 mils of DCM. I'm just going to vent it to the atmosphere. I'm sorry. It's maybe a little irresponsible of me. It's fine. Not a big deal. I'll just give it some extremely gentle heat. Let the solvent leave, and should leave us with a residue. I could probably guess what that residue will be coloured like, but at this point I don't want to speculate because that could be bad news. Alright, we'll let this solvent fuck off. Here's our solid. You know I don't like yellow in chemistry. It's generally a bad sign. And I don't think this time is any different. It's actually a little reminiscent of our first run, if we can cast our minds back to whenever that was. And then we ended up with a yellow solid that, well, I was going to say looks like this, but is this? This was a solid from some of our first runs under the lamp. But what are we looking for? We're looking for a brown solid. And that's not just from the Comoleus video. In Comoleus video, it goes very brown, it looks very, very tarry. You read all the references and they also say it goes brown. And this is not brown. It's not even slightly brown. And what I think a key step we've been neglecting pretty much this whole time, and I'm getting a lot of comments about it, is argon. I've sort of just accepted that there's some level of oxygen screwing around with the reaction that would be fine in an effort to make this reaction more approachable. But there might be enough oxygen, and we weren't, you know, we're just in this vial here, and I didn't run in this flask, I ran in a different flask, this flask. It's still got some horrific red solid in it. Regardless, there could be a lot of oxygen through, which could be completely ruining our reaction. Rather than going to the brown product we want, it's going to this yellow and red sort of tar. Also, this could have just worked. So what I will do is I will do both options. I will continue on with this, assuming this works. So we just got to reflux that with some sodium hydroxide solution. But in the meantime, let's rerun some photochemistry reactions, but sparge it, see if we can seal up the vials nicely. So I've got a little bit of solid here of the diketone to run another reaction, slightly smaller scale. And also we have these solids that came from Comoleus. Am I saying it right this time? I got some shit from the last video because I didn't say it right. It's Chemoleus. How was I saying in the video? Chemiolus. Extra syllable in there, like saxophone. Chemolus. Chemolus. Chemolus? Chemolus. 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 Chemolus sent us these samples. He's got some diketone here. This is obviously the solid that he used under his lamps with benzophenone, and it worked first time. Yeah, let's not keep going on about that, but let's use some of this and run the reaction under our lamps. We can run them both at exactly the same time, and if it works for his solid, but not mine, we know it's the problem with the solid. If it doesn't work for both of us, I know it's a problem with the lamps. How good is that? That's a good idea. I don't know how much is in here. Enough. I think more than what I have. So great. So I will run both of those now-ish. I've got to reflux this overnight. So, and you know, we're going to put these under for, I suppose, 3 days. This is feeling very montagey, so positive vibes into this montage. Good luck, future self. Let's do it. Where the fuck is my argon regulator? That's a good question. The fuck would I have put that? The fuck would I put an argon regulator? If I was a fucking moron, where would I store a fucking... Alright, I found it. In with the tubing. That made a lot of sense, actually. That was a very good decision, and I don't know why I didn't look there originally. Two. Hell yeah. Alright, best of luck. Alright, 3 days is up. 3 days is up. How are they looking? Let's get these things off. Oh, pretty red and yellow for some reason. Concerning. Let's get them out. Right, so this is the Comoleus sample, and this is my sample. And they're sort of reasonably similar. The Comoleus sample had tar actually kind of settle out, whereas mine looks like it stayed floating a lot more. And really, the sides of the vial on the Comoleus one, you don't really see too much stuck to it, whereas on my one, it looks like there's quite a bit of, I guess, like grease, tarry stuff on the sides. This is a pretty good reproduction of what Comoleus did in his video. I used a different solvent, but the papers used DCM as well as acetonitrile, and there's no difference. Once again, I'm losing my mind at why this isn't working. What are we doing wrong? Let's get back to the other refluxing sodium hydroxide one. Maybe that'll come through for us. Maybe I deserve some win here. I deserve some bit of win. That's what I deserve. Alright, everything is cooled down. It had a bit of a reflux overnight, and it looks like tar, but I don't know, this could be it. We may have formed the cube, and if we form the cube, it'll be as the dicarboxylate, which in this basic solution will be as the sodium salt, so it will be dissolved into the solution. Bit of precipitate, but the benzophenone is in there as well, which is not soluble in water, so that will precipitate out. So, and any tarry stuff, like genuine tar, would have precipitated out of this water solution. So at this point, to clean it up, I think we should run filtration, get rid of the benzophenone, get rid of a bit of tar, and just be left with, ideally, Cubane dicarboxylate sodium salt in solution. So yeah, let's run that through the funnel. Now everything's cooled down. Let's run it through the funnel and have a look at the bloody solution. Alright, I don't know how much help that filtration really was. The solution looks extremely turbid still. Not the greatest, but let's do it. We've got to acidify it now, and we'll turn the dicarboxylate sodium salt back to just the dicarboxylate, which is less soluble in water, so it should precipitate out. To do this, we're just going to be adding some hydrochloric acid. This is 32%, obviously hardware grade. The bottle is filthy because I don't store it with my normal chemicals, because it leaks acid vapor, and that tends to rust things around, so it goes into fucking the void somewhere where it's extremely dusty. But I don't get affected by acid fumes as much, so that's my excuse for the bottle being filthy. But hopefully the chemicals inside are pretty clean, so we're just going to use it as is. We're not going to use any bloody purified acid. This should be good enough grade if we're just acidifying a solution. So we'll add 10 mils of this to our solution and see if anything precipitates out. Ooh. Oh, hell yeah. And several years in the making, we have a slightly cloudy solution. Let me check that our solution is actually acidic. Yep. nice and red on the pH paper. So what I might do is I might just cool this down, make sure it's nice and cold, so we precipitate out all our fucking Cubane before we filter it. Fantastic. After washing it with a little bit of ice cold water, we're left with a small amount of mud coloured material. While it definitely looks like tar, we can be, I guess, a little confident that it's our material, because we had a product that was soluble in sodium hydroxide solution but precipitated out in the acid solution. Very, very heavily implies that we've got a carboxylic acid group on the molecule, and none of our starting materials or any other sort of side products we'd expect that. That being said, we should definitely wait for further analysis. I'm not going to do any further analysis in this video. I'll leave the purification and analysis. Analysis is the key one, really, I guess, to confirm this material is actually Cubane dicarboxylic acid. With that also being said, let's go! This took me years and we've done it. Look at this shit coloured material. Oh, get out of here. Let's go, Cubane 2023. Let's go. I don't think I can process emotions well.